Some weird shit that you might have missed. What is up, Alien Army? I am Oculus, and I'm not going to do the full intro because I just want to get this video out there, and it has a little bit to do with my SOBEC series because that's basically when this information was conveyed to me, and I saw this and I was like, behold, something you might have missed. Because I know I missed that shit. I ain't see that, but maybe some of you did, so I'm just going to talk about it. We do know,
and this is going to be a little bit of a cryptic vid, if you know what I'm saying.
So we do know that there, as the time I'm filming this, and you could always check the date that this was uploaded, there is a particular anniversary going on for the United States. And there are quite a few interesting things that I personally have noticed about this anniversary. Number one, this is something totally random which has to do with this, but not really. So if it does pique your interest, look into it for yourself, because this was explained to me by someone and I'm not still entirely sure exactly how to digest it, okay? But something occurred in 1999 which basically rendered something, and this is in regards to the United States, I think you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say it because you know why. But in 1999, basically something occurred which rendered a very important thing in regards to the United States useless. And the way that it was explained to me, that now, from the time that thing was rendered useless up until now, is that basically the United States has been in a state of anarchy. Okay, this is how it was explained to me, and I'm not going to go into details there, but it does branch off into more of what I'm talking about. So keep in mind 1999, that was the year. So in the year 2000, a very interesting movie came out, which I just recently saw it yesterday because when I was channeling, I was guided to watch it, and so I fucking did. But there were a few interesting things with this movie that came out in the year 2000. I don't know if it was filmed in 1999 or whatever the case, but basically this movie is called The Skulls, and it is about secret societies. Okay, so do with that what you want. And I was reading on Wikipedia, I'm not sure where, this is not going to be like a historical reference of the film, you know what I mean? I'm just going to be pointing out a few key things that I saw in regards to this movie, which in my view, in my opinion, was the warning sign, or like the trailer, the preview, the coming attractions of the event that was going to go on the following year in 2001. When I was reading about this, the director said something to the effect of that he wanted this movie to kind of emulate and portray a particular US president and his son. So this is, I think you know who I'm talking about. The director, and he says this somewhere, okay? Like, you could look it up. All of this stuff you could look up. This is actually things that are legit. This right here, the director or the producer, I don't know who, someone who was responsible for putting this film together, the film The Skulls, said that he wanted it to portray the relationship betwixt a particular US president and his son. So watching the movie, if you've seen it or if you haven't, I mean, there's going to be spoilers in here, so if you want to watch the movie and then come back to this video, or if you don't give a shit, that's up to you, but I'm giving you a heads up what you're about to walk into. So being that it was sort of like loosely based off of the life of these real people that exist, because this is really what came up when I was channeling the reptilian shapeshifters. At first he identified himself as the Lizard King, and then as an aspect of my higher self, then as I was a crocodile eons ago.
I was a crocodile in Australia. That's why I have I'm like drawn to Australia, because I had a past life as a crocodile there.
But any which way, so it all stems from SOBEC, right? Reptiles are shapeshifters. They can take whatever fucking form they want. So if you hear me calling them different things, you know why. I'm not talking about different energies or different caricatures. They're all the same. With that out of the way, the Lizard King was like, we were in the same arena mentally, and then I was just looking at all this stuff, and I I was being guided to look at this stuff, okay? So in this movie, it basically, now I'm going to talk about the skulls, what happens in the movie. So basically there is this guy and he wants to get into the skulls, which is the secret society that is going on in the university Yale, okay? So he wants to get in, and then so you know how they have to go through a few like rituals and initiations and things like that. It's sort of like a fraternity, only hidden. I think someone described it that way, or maybe the movie was described that way in the synopsis, I don't know. But either which way, this guy, he wants to join, and then he has to go through a series of rituals. A high up, I wasn't sure who he was. I believe they specified in the movie the main guy, who was played by Craig T. Nelson, okay? So the main guy, who's like an older man, and then you have Paul Walker in the movie, who was his son, right? So that's where I'm getting the connection, the father and son that I mentioned, right? And they were played by Craig T. Nelson and Paul Walker. So then you have Joshua Jackson, who wanted to join, okay? So I'm just going to call them by their names. I'm not going to go into the names of who they were in the movie. Although the names in the movie were interesting, because the father and son, their last name was Mandrake, which we know what Mandrake is, okay? I mean, we know what Mandrake is. Very, very popular in paganism. And the guy who wanted to join, his first name was Luke, which Luke, if you look up the definition of the name Luke, it means light, which I am going by, it stems from Lucifer, light bearer. So I mean,
whatever, all right?
Those are just some things I noticed. Remember, this is my video. I calls it how I sees it. So this is what I was seeing in that video and what was being shown to me by Mr. Lizard King, okay? What I was being shown is that you have these two characters now, Paul Walker, Craig T. Nelson, and they're the father and son, and then this new guy, Joshua Jackson, he wants to join, and the son, Paul Walker, also wants to join. Like, he's not really a part of it yet. So then they're in like the initiation together, and they're doing shit and whatever. So basically what happens in the movie that I found interesting, now there are a few interesting things that I saw in this movie. You know, there's a lot of symbolism, like you know, they mention the serpent in there, and they show like a black cube, and then like, you know, the ritual room. So there's occult symbolism in there too, but I'm really just focused today on the anniversary that I, in my view, believe that the film portrayed or foreshadowed, okay? So because, you know, they always show you what the fuck they are doing, but most motherfuckers, they don't see it. So this is what I saw. Obviously I see it now, right? Because that's when I channeled it, but to perhaps a different observer, when that movie first came out, maybe someone spotted it and knew what the fuck it was at that point. I don't know. So what happened in that movie is that the guy Paul Walker, he accidentally thinks he kills someone, all right? And you see it's like in the war room. They call it the war room because war is engraved on the wall in huge letters in that ritual war room. So what this is portraying to me, anniversary edition or not, occult symbolism edition or not, both of those, war ritual. It's a ritual. That's how I see it. In a ritual room, you have the word war. So that means wars are ritualistic in nature. That is the reason why wars go on. So Joshua Jackson's friend, his friend in the movie basically is spying on the skulls, right? So he's spying on it, and he's in the war ritual room. Paul Walker catches him, and then mayhem ensues. Basically, Paul Walker's like, you can't be here, like, you know, and the guy, he starts running away, and then they go basically to the top of this area, I don't know, I guess the second floor of the room, and it's overlooking the bottom, and there's no railing, and it's just like an open drop into the circle war center
of the room, ritual center, I don't know.
So then there's a poignant moment where Paul Walker, like the guy, like I forget what happens, but he missteps or something, and he like slips, and he's like kind of hanging on, but he's hanging on like he fell head first, so he looks like the Hanged Man tarot card, and you see Paul Walker is kind of holding him in suspension, and then you see the Hanged Man reference, which we did see elsewhere, okay? I don't know, what do you think? Okay, Hanged Man symbolism, this movie came out in 2000, Hanged Man symbolism in 2001, so there's that. Another thing, so we have basically, number one, wars are ritualistic, and so that happens, right, because the war ritualistic room, then we have the symbolism of the Hanged Man, like dangling, and then indicating, because this character in the movie, he later is killed. He's murdered. Not by Paul Walker, but by someone else. And he's murdered. So that is a representation of murder. Okay? It wasn't an accident. Okay, that's I think the key right here. It was not an accident, because Paul Walker, you know, when he's chasing a guy, he doesn't mean to hurt him or kill him, right? But Paul Walker, like, he's chasing the guy and the guy slips and falls of his own volition. Paul Walker is like there, like they're kind of like, you know, he's holding him in the hangman position and the guy drops anyway. Paul Walker thinks he kills him, but he thinks it's like an accident, right? Like at first, Paul Walker, the son, father and son duo, don't know what's going on with that, but maybe you see a few things. At first, it you know, it appears like an accident, right? Because then they later make it look like the guy committed suicide. Okay, so it appears first like an accident, but it happened in the war ritual room. When that happens, when the guy falls to the floor, he's still alive, but Paul Walker thinks he's dead. He calls his dad. He says to his dad that he needs 911. Emergency services, because that's what it is. I mean, right? Right. So then his dad basically covers up for his son, and then the guy that Paul Walker just left, like he's like, okay, I'll take care of it, whatever. He goes and he, you know, whatever. The guy's actually ended up murdered in the ritual war room. There's that. And then now we have something else, like coming more towards the end of the film, where you know, and there's a lot of other things shown, like how the you know, the skulls, like the members already in there, they blackmail each other, and like they have XYZ person, maybe like I believe the detective in the movie was working for one of the skulls on the low, and like they had, you know, they had their eye on everything. Okay, and a lot of symbolism in that movie too is like you see cameras all over in like their den, indicating the eye that is looking at them. So I mean, you know what the fuck I'm talking about, fucking eyes all over the place, right? Anyway, so in regards to the anniversary, then basically that happens. We move a little bit forward in the movie, then towards the end we have where Joshua Jackson, because he's not feeling Paul Walker at this time, right? He's not feeling him because he's like, there's some shady shit going on in this group and I don't want no part of it. Okay, so then he basically challenges Paul Walker to a duel, but he does it. Now there's this book that the members of the skulls all get, right? And it's this book, then we're not even going to talk about like the pagan wheel symbolism that's going on this book, or the symbol of the skulls or anything. We're not, you know,
we give the anniversary shit, okay? Maybe that'll be another video if you want. I don't know. We'll see if I'm guided to make one.
But anyway, he is reading a section of the book, which is, it's basically like a number, or it's like, you know how you have like sections of the book, like section 439, blah, 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 section 440, blah, 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 right? Like, so it's going down in numbers, okay? It's going in numbers, whatever rules or agreements they abide by in that organization. And so the one that he challenges Paul Walker to a duel, basically the two of them warring each other, is 119. Yes, 119. So Paul Walker wants his dad to call 911, or he needs to call 911. I don't know, something going on with that. Then Joshua Jackson later in the movie uses code 119, which is 911 reversed. I mean, I don't know. I mean, sometimes you gotta spell it out. A lot of things are fucking reverse, backwards, flipped, upside down, mirror images, you know. Anyway, so I thought that was very interesting. I am seeing with the movie how I think that it might have been a little snippet of what was about to ensue the following year, just from what I channeled, just what resonates with me. And also there were a few interesting things that I did notice with pictures, like the publicity pictures for this movie. You see the word war, and then you see the depiction of like these shadow figures in the background, and they're kind of standing behind the scenes, like you don't know who the fuck they are, right? Like you had the main main key players, like the front guys who motherfuckers know their name and shit. But then you have so many characters in the background that remain in the shadows. So it's like, who really is orchestrating this war? And then you have two columns, which to me, I mean, what do they look like? I don't know. What do you think they look like? These two columns, and it says war, and then you have a bunch of shadow men in the fucking background, okay? That's what I was thinking when I looked at that, okay? So we fast forward now. That movie came out in the year 2000, and we go to 2001. What happened in 2001 after whatever thing was nullified in 1999? I remember I started with that. We have just one movie that I noticed. There are probably more that came out in 2000. Perhaps they were filmed in 99. The skulls, all the things that I mentioned in that. Now we have 2001.
So just to sweeten the pot a little bit more, whilst I was editing and I saw that I said 2001, I realized that there was a movie that came out in the late 60s and it was called 2001: A Space Odyssey, in which black cube symbolism is prevalent in it. So I just figured I'd toss that in there because I feel it's relevant.
Father and son. I don't know, man. What do you think? So we have that. But then now we want to fast forward even further to present day, because this is the thing that I have not seen. I haven't really saw it anywhere, because I even looked it up before filming this. I was like, I want to just make sure that there's nothing regarding this. So if you've ever seen like pictures, and this is just one example, I'm sure there's so many other, you know, you could think of so many, but if you've ever seen like the inside, I forget what it's called. It's like in Vatican City. It's like the Pope's concert hall or something. I don't know if that's what it's called, but if you've seen that, you'll see that it looks somewhat like a snake, and I'm just gonna put a picture so you know what the fuck I'm talking about. So you can see that this here, it does look like a snake. It resembles a snake. So I'm talking about things like that, where it's like you think things are one thing, but then you take a second look and then you're like, whoa, wait, it really might be this. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about here. Now what I saw, and I don't even know how the fuck I got there, okay? I told you I was having a good old time with Mr. Motherfucking Lizard King. So what happened is that I was looking at different pictures of the memorial of the particular thing. Okay, I was looking at the memorial. I was looking at what the new structure looks like and things like that. And what I saw in the memorial looked to me, I mean, I'm just gonna put this on screen here, okay, because this is what I saw. I don't know what you see. I'm gonna just leave this up. So we have that. It's like,
do you see what I see?
So we have that, okay, because that's what I'm just like, whoa. So now we can look at these two side by side, because that's what I'm seeing. I don't know what you're seeing, but I definitely am seeing that. And then just to look at it again, there you go. You see these examples here. That's what I see. I mean, you could say, yeah, you know, it's like from the two that are no longer there. They're like the indentations, because that's where they used to be, but they're indentations, and then, well, there just happens to be trees around it. Okay, and what is that like triangular shaped thing? I don't even know what that is, by the way, but I feel like it was added because it makes it look more like what I think it looks like, okay, with that thing being added there. And, you know, someone could argue, yeah, they're trees and they're imprints where the two fallen structures once were. Okay, sure. I mean, let's not mention that the structures in and of themselves, the indentations, do have black cubes, which is more symbolism in itself, if you know what I'm talking about. But either which way, that's just what I saw, which is what led me down that rabbit hole with the skulls and everything like that. That's what led me there. Essentially, I saw that picture and I said, oh snap. And then now we have this fellow, which looks pretty similarly who I was talking to, who identified himself to me as the Lizard King, who is representation of Sobek, crocodilian, my higher self, all of that going on, my primordial self, which is connected to all of us with the reptilian brain. So we want to take a look at these three together, and you could just decipher for yourself. Because as William Shakespeare said, let every eye negotiate for itself and trust no agent. So that's what I saw with that, because if we even want to take a look at why the incident that has an anniversary thing occurred, okay, sure, whatever floats your boat, you could think this, you could believe that, but if you see what I'm seeing, now we have, even in the aftermath, we see really the face behind it all, which to me is representative of the shadow figures that were standing in the background, not illuminated, because you have like front men, and then you have motherfuckers behind the scenes going on, and they show you who the fuck they are, but you might not be able to see them because they're reptilian shapeshifters. That's what they do. They shapeshift. Now, I'm not here, listen, I am not here to sit and bash them, because I did have very good communion with the one that I had communion with, you know, representative of Sobek, the Lizard King, and, you know, my higher self, my crocodilian self, all of everyone who is in a human vessel has the reptilian brain in them. So it's like, you're not going to deny that. You're not going to hate it, because that's like hating an aspect of yourself. I don't know why they're doing it. I think I have a little bit of an inkling, but I don't have enough information that I'm gonna make a video about it at this point, okay? But that is something with, when I was channeling this energy and I saw the Lizard King perched upon his throne, it's sort of like we were just looking at the same thing together, and he obviously knew that I'm making this video, and he wasn't trying to stop me. He wasn't doing, you know what I mean? Like, when I channel, I get messages that are just for me personally sometimes, and then I get messages that it's just neutral, like, yeah, like, talk about this if you want, there's nothing not to talk about, right? So I'm talking about it because that's what we were channeling, that's what we were in the mix with, and I was just shown all this, and you know, I just started putting the pieces together on my own. So just recap, if you want to look up the thing that allegedly went defunct in 1999, or I don't know if it went defunct, but basically from what was told to me, because I don't really do technical shit, and it's like technical, it has to do with like word jargon, I suppose, and you know, I do channeling and shit. I'm like, huh, what? Like, I can explain it in a metaphor, but I'm not, like, I don't even want to begin to explain it because I'm not gonna know how. So basically, the thing that went defunct in 1999 that happened the following year, that movie comes out with everything that I explained about that movie that came out, the skulls that came out in the year 2000. 2001, what happens? In the aftermath of 2001, we're seeing faces in the fucking trees and shit, you know what I mean?
Well, at least I am, okay?
So that's what I got for you today. If I do get any more information regarding the reptilians, their agenda, all of that, I will be letting you know. This is a series, like, which is like all gonna be umbrellaed under the Sobek series, but this one is slightly different, so it might be called something different, but I do have other videos in regards to reptilian energy if you are interested. So that's what I got for you today. I am Oculus, the alien next door. We will chit chat again soon.